doing what you love, and the money will come with it.
Got it. I believe that so truly. Like anything that you love to do, just do it. Do it like you love it, and the money will come. Welcome to 45 on the Hour podcast. I'm your host, Colt 45, and it is a empowering day. I'm actually with a very wonderful person. This podcast is going to be different, guys. We're going to talk about empowering women, and I have just the guest to talk about it. She's a powerful, powerful woman, in my opinion. I admire her dearly, and she is the ambassador of the Teddy Bear Cancer Foundation, single mother of 4, a realtor. She does it all, guys. And we're here with the famous Trini Hernandez.
Hi, good
Trini.
morning, Cole. Thank you for having me on your podcast.
I love it. Thank you for coming. So we were talking kind of before, me and her were, off topic, kind of talking about discussion topics and things like that. And before we get into that, I wanted to get into you. Like, tell me a little bit about you, because I still wonder, like, my mom was a single mom. She raised me and she just did it all. And I admire that so much in a woman. And I know that you do it all. You got boys, you got a family, you got all these events that you do, and somehow you manage it all. How do you do it?
Well, first of all, it's not easy. And,
right.
People ask me, who's Trini Hernandez? What's your story, right? How do you, just like you, they all want to know how I do it. I think sometimes balance, just learning how to balance life.
Right.
It's not just about work. It's not about just being a mother. I think it's finding the time blocks into things that you love to do outside of those things. And I have my outdoor activities that I do. I'm a mother of 4 children. I'm an ambassador of the Teddy Bear Cancer Foundation, which I love to give back to the community in any way that I can. So I stay involved as much as I can. And then, I have my company that I have. It's a surplus recovery service. And I'm also a realtor. So I deal with people on a daily, and it's a passion of mine. So when you actually learn to balance time and manage your time, which did take me a while to do, it wasn't easy. It's like I was scattered. I was all over the place, which does become very overwhelming at times. So I had to sit down one day and tell myself, how can I better manage 24 hours, right?
Right, so you break it down or whatever, right?
Yeah, so it's just increments of time in a day. What can I do? What time? Where should, we all have our morning routines, especially as a mother. I have the school drop off of the kids, and then I have to be in the office a certain number of hours. And I don't have to, I get to. And the reason I say I get to, it's a privilege to be here today, every day. And I never take anything for granted. So when you ask me, how do you do it all? I think balancing and time management and being able to manage the little time that you have in a day is just, and making it happen.
Right. And then you focus on the moments, right? You focus on each moment, right?
Well, you have to be present.
Right. You have to be present, right? Because a lot of people, I feel like it's, I don't know. I just realized it's not even just a woman thing, but guys also experience anxiety too. But a lot of women experience anxiety and they're like, oh, I want to do what you're doing and I want to be powerful and all these things. But I think it's just getting the tasks rolling, right? Getting the action rolling, right? Because you're an action-based person, I can tell.
I like to do it.
Right.
So I don't, there's a lot of things we want to do every day. There's a lot of things that we want to accomplish as an individual. But I think that putting too much on your plate, you kind of start to lose focus and attention to the things that really matter to you the most.
Right.
And that was one thing that I had to work on in the last year is, where does my time go? How is it going to benefit me? Is this really going towards what I want to accomplish in my life? And not just a realtor side of it, as Trini Hernandez, as an individual, right? As a woman who has been through so much in her lifetime, but yet has found the strength to just keep going. And that's one thing I encourage all my friends and just everybody. when there's a tough time in your life, you just got to keep going. And like you said, be present in the moment, because we don't get that time back.
So you mentioned something about like, like I've been through a lot of things and whatnot. So I'm kind of curious on that. I don't know if it's a sensitive subject, but like for me, like I had history, right? And I always tell people, like this stuff doesn't just come. Like there's a story behind it, right? Do you like, what did you go through? Like, I don't want to know. Like,
I could write a book about
right.
this.
I guess I'm just like wondering, like your history, like your family, like were you raised like
I think
two parents?
I think also we all make poor choices in our lives, right?
Correct. We learn from that.
So some people do, some people don't. I've been through a lot of poor decision making in my lifetime. There's was a time in my life where I did face homelessness with a newborn baby, living out of my vehicle.
Wow.
And just my parents telling me, look, you got to go figure it out. Go live your life. You're only 18 years old. You wanted to have a child. Take the responsibility and go live your life. I had to figure it out.
Wow.
I was in survival mode for so many years and working from 8 to 5 and working for somebody just to survive and provide for my child at the time. And being 18 years old, it's like there's no manual to this. What do? I got to figure it out. So within time, fast forward, just being a young mother, and sometimes when you're just trying to survive, you don't make the best decisions, with relationships too. Those haven't always been the best for me. And it's just the things that I've accepted in the past that have taken me to a very dark place in my life at one time. And I had to pull myself out of that and say, I am better than this. I think everybody has so much in them to give and provide and something positive to the world, where you can't just settle for less. And, then just having to leave a long-term relationship because I had to self-discover who I was. I had to figure out what my calling is. There's a reason why I'm here till this day. There's a reason why God has put me here. And there is something that I have to accomplish. And I believe in God, his planning. It's because when I try to plan things, it never works out, right? So when you put your faith in God and you just give him your all, that's when everything starts falling into place.
I agree with that,
And,
150%.
a lot of things happen. We get fired, like I said at my conference the other day. Hey, I got fired? Great. If it hadn't been for that, I wouldn't be here today, right?
Right.
I wouldn't have all these doors open. And that
Where one door closes, another one opens.
It was a close of a door, and now
Right.
I have something better. And I've just met such great people along the way. But I think it all starts with you.
Totally.
You have to make the choice to change, to do something different.
When you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, that's when it changes, right?
Yes, exactly.
And I relate to you on so many things. I just want to touch on that because you talked about how you were homeless with a newborn child. I was in the same exact boat.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you know exactly what I went through.
Yeah, I had a lot of people don't know that about me, but my first daughter, I was kind of lost when I got out of the Marine Corps. I was a little lost, coming out of the war. And then when I came home, I was bouncing around trying to figure it out, living on friends' couches and whatnot. And then I met somebody. I was only with her for a short period of time. I tried to get a job. I had a job. And then all of a sudden, boom, all of a sudden there was this child. And she was like, hey, you're a dad. And I was like, what? This was 8 months later. She didn't even tell me. And then, a few months after that, she decided she was going to move in with some other guy. And she left the kid with me and moved to Colorado. And I was a single dad at 23 with a newborn baby. And so I don't think a lot of people, I don't even know if I've shared that before on the podcast, but yeah.
I'm glad you did.
Yeah, right? So, and I relate to that because I was homeless. I was living with my mom and I wasn't kind of doing things her way for a second, living in her garage. And then finally I was in my car with my daughter. Luckily, I had some aunts that kind of helped me transition. I got back into work, and then you just figured out, I just remember that I made a choice to myself. I was like, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And then that was it. And I just said, I've hit enough adversity, but I hadn't hit enough adversity because I was still doing some of the old crap that I was doing. I was still feeling sorry for myself. I had victim mentality. I had no action. Even though I just got out of the Marine Corps, I was like just lazy, I was drinking. I was just being stupid. And then as soon as I started getting humbled, because I believe that like God humbles you, you know. And I always tell people when you're being tested, you've been selected. So there's a reason for it. And I think I eventually like figured it out, and it just started getting better and better. But it only got better with consistency, you know.
I think it also has to do with your mindset.
Yeah,
Your mindset is going to dictate the path that you choose. If you're not
I love that.
healthy in every possible way, that can derail you and get you to a place where you probably were before. And that's one thing I will never do is go back where I was 10, 15 years ago. But I'm also very grateful for all the trialing times and for all the adversities, because without that, I wouldn't have been able to grow. You have to go through the uneasy, the uncomfortable to grow. Because if it's too comfortable, then
grow.
there's no growth.
Yeah,
Exactly.
you have to be uncomfortable.
So I said, okay, when I face a challenge now, when my son was diagnosed with cancer back in 2021,
Jesus, so sorry.
It's not something that any parent wants to hear, or a child, especially someone that's just growing up, is in his high school years. Those should be like the best years, right? So having to deal with that, it didn't only affect him, it affects everybody around him. It affects the entire family, the friends. So, I mean, running a company, a real estate company in that time, and we just were going through the whole pandemic, it really, really was a hard time, but it actually allowed me to be a better parent, to be more alert, more aware of what's going on. Because sometimes when you have that tunnel vision where you're just so set on your goals, you tend to block everything out, even sometimes your children. And I've always been a great mom. I've always done the best that I could, right? There's no such thing as being a perfect parent, being a perfect girlfriend, wife, friend. But the one thing I learned is just pay attention more, and I'm glad again that everything happened the way it did. Luckily, my son is cancer free, going
Amen,
5 months.
Good.
So God is wonderful. And, when I face a really hard time now, I have to trust that it's God's doing, because there's a good result at the end.
Right.
I have to believe that, because if not, I mean, there was a time in my life, Colt, where I was working before becoming a business owner. I was working for a company. I couldn't understand why I was let go. I gave it all I could. I did such a good job. I had great performance. But then they just said, we just don't need you. Then I come home to an eviction notice. Then I get a voicemail about my car being repoed.
Jesus.
So all in one day,
I relate.
I would have, a normal person would have lost it, would have given up, right? But no, I just said, you know what, just grab for what it is and keep going. And that's one thing I want to instill in everybody and all the viewers out here and that's listening to this is never give up. There's a reason why everything happens. And I'm a firm believer of that. Not a lot of people do believe in that, but I believe that there's something better out there. So I'm very grateful.
Good. I feel it. I feel the energy from you so much. See, I always used to say, and this is what I always tell people when they call me with their issues and whatnot, because I do this podcast and then I get DMs and things like that. People will be like, hey, what you said helped me, or hey, I'm going through this. And I always say, hey, things don't happen to us, they happen for us.
Right.
Right. And I believe that. I believe it in my soul, So let's go back. So we're kind of, I just want to make sure I'm kind of like going kind of through everything, but now we're on mindset and growth. You're kind of just going along with it, which is great. So it's like to the next one. How to develop an unstoppable mindset despite obstacles. So you kind of talked about you just have to be action-based. You have to go through some of the struggle. You have to be uncomfortable, right? Because you're talking about being uncomfortable. A lot of people don't think, they just want to be comfortable. And I feel like a lot of people, and it's both women and men right now.
Right. It's
the same.
everybody.
Yeah. People just sit at home and they're like, oh, I want this life, and whatnot. And then it's like, well, what are you doing about it?
Well, I think people get stuck into a routine, right? It's a routine.
Yeah, go to work at
this
8
is
to
all
5.
exactly. It's a
Right.
routine,
But I want more.
but I want more. So you have to break out of that routine. You have to change it up. You got to switch it up, right? Do something different. So that's what I started to do. I never was a hiker. I never mountain biked. I just never was that person to really enjoy nature, right? But I wanted to incorporate that interest into my routine. So little by little, I started hiking, and it just became a passion of mine. So when you have to live with intention. What's your intention behind your action? Why are you doing this?
Okay.
What's your purpose?
Okay.
And what holds me to, I guess, a grounded mind is the fact that everything that I do is with purpose, with intention. And mindset, I mean, I wake up every morning, 4:30 every morning, just even when I don't want to, I just do. Naturally. And
What time do you go to bed,
uh,
roughly?
it depends. If I have the children, I go to bed a little earlier. If it's just me, myself, maybe about 10:30, 11 o'clock.
A couple hours later, maybe, or something like that.
Yeah. So I just think that my mindset is all based on what I listen,
Okay.
who I surround myself with, because it's all about surroundings, right? It's what you take in and what you listen to every day, what you see every day. That absorbs it. You're in your head, and you just become, I guess, adaptable to it. So my mindset is just I just listen to a lot of positive audios in the morning. I do a drive that every morning I have to grab my coffee, which McDonald's coffee is the best.
I follow your Instagram, by the way, so I see what Trini does all the time. I'm like, there she is again.
So if I'm not working out, if I'm not working, I grab my coffee and I go for a drive. That's my therapy. That's the way that I set the tone for the day. So every morning I make sure that it's on a positive note.
So let's talk about that. You had talked about, you have to know your purpose, right? So I always tell people, this is just what I think. I always say, what's your why? And they go, what do you mean my why? What's your why? Like for me, it's my girls. Like if you know the why, then the how becomes so much more easier, right?
Right.
And so I tell people that, like, what's your why? And they'll usually say, oh, if they have kids, it's my kids. That's my why. Okay, cool. So if you know your why, the reason why you're doing it, then the how to do it becomes so much more easier, right?
Well, the full understanding.
Yeah,
right.
because the how is going to be difficult, right? So
Right.
people are like, oh, well, how am I going to be an entrepreneur? How am I going to be like her and be a big time real estate agent or do whatever, Like they're like, oh, that's so far fetched. It's like, well, what's your why? Your kids are your why. So you're going to do it for them. So every day you're going to do these results. Here's the plan, right?
I want to stop you there.
Yeah.
It's pretty cliche. Everybody says my why is my children, right? My why is me.
Wow.
It sounds selfish, but it's actually the most selfless thing ever because it
you gotta
all
love you first.
starts with me.
I see that.
And if you don't appreciate or love yourself, then that reflects on everybody around you.
I like that.
So
That's
when
different.
people tell me, "Oh, it's your kid," no, my why is me.
Yeah.
What do I want to leave behind? Who do I want to be remembered as when I leave this earth? And that's giving back and paying it forward. And if I can make one small impact, a positive impact on somebody's life, then you know what? I'm okay with going and leaving. I did my job, right? So I have to be well for my kids to be well.
Correct. God, that's powerful.
And they look up to me. And if I'm not well, then they're not going to be well
Mm-hmm.
because they feel the stress. They feel everything, all the emotions that I'm expressing. It really weighs down on children. And so I have to be, I'm not saying my days are always perfect. I never have issues. And, it's
You're
just,
human.
we're human, right?
Mhm.
It's just knowing the time and place.
And I that's so powerful. And I wish my mom would have done that. So I go back in time and I try to relate. And I remember my mom giving herself selflessly to us all the time, and she lost herself, even to this day. And I love her to death. But I just remember seeing her just drift apart. She was just working, always focused on kids. And she started having health issues and, things like that. And so I can understand that and relate to self. We got to worry about ourselves first, because if I can't take care of me, I can't take care of you.
Exactly.
Right?
And it took me a while to understand that. It was when I became a mom, I was fully dedicated to being a mother, right? I didn't even take care of myself.
Mm-hmm.
health wise, mentally. It's like I was programmed to just being a mother, nothing else. But then, like, unfortunately, with your mother's situation, I started going down that dark place, and I had to get out of it. And I thank God for giving me the strength and the courage to make the changes in my life to get me where I'm at today. It's not easy. People see
right.
me and they're like, oh, not everybody's going to like you.
Right.
Not everyone's going to admire you. But, I just want to do what makes me feel good. And I know has affected a lot of people in a very positive way.
Yeah, your people will find you.
Right.
I always
right
believe
people.
like the right people, right? And so like if you take off that mask and you relate to people and they're like, "Oh, this is really who you are." Okay, that's my person. I'm going to, and I've noticed that the more real I've been on social, the more authentic, the more people that like relate to me.
They
my
gravitate.
people.
They gravitate.
Yeah, and you see people unfollow and follow all the day, and it's like, "Okay, cool, whatever." But something going back to that, and this is cool that you're saying all this stuff because I look at my mom and then I look at like how you are today and I'm like, okay, if I could go back in time and be that little boy and her being like giving and giving and giving and then take the 41-year-old Colt, I think the 41-year-old Colt would have been like, hey, Mom, take some time to yourself.
Right.
Go work out. Go build yourself. I'm okay. I'm going to be okay. Don't worry about me as much. I love you. I want my mom to be you. I want you to keep yourself. I don't want you to lose your character. I don't want you to lose your heart. I want you to find love. All those things, right? That's the little boy in me. And I relate to that because I see that now and I wish and so that maybe that's something people need to take from this podcast. That's powerful. Focus on you.
But I think also it's just a modern world now. A lot of women are taking care of themselves a lot more.
A lot better.
Than they did. And I mean, look at 50-year-old and I'm like, wow, I want to look like that when I'm 50 or 60. It's just,
right.
I think that health and the mindset and mental health, both mental health and physical health, have become a really huge factor in a lot of women's lives. And not just women, men too, everyone, right? Because we want to live a good life. And life is just so different than it was 20, 30 years ago.
It is.
And women, no offense to women, but back then it's like, just be a wife and be a mom. Stay home mom, and that's it. We didn't have a say. We couldn't say anything. We couldn't do anything that was outside of that without being judged. Now you just see so many powerful women that are doing such big things for themselves. And I want to instill the power in my children, that they can be anything that they want to be.
Mm-hmm. I love that. So beautiful. What do you do about self-doubt? You're out of these women sometimes, and maybe this is both, but dealing with imposter syndrome, self-doubt. I'm kind of curious.
And
how do you get past that as a female?
Everybody asks me, how are you so confident? Like,
yeah.
No, not always. I doubt myself sometimes. Maybe I feel like I could be better. Maybe I'm not doing a good job. I do doubt myself, right? We always want to be the best that we can be.
So that's there.
Huh?
Self-doubt is there.
Yeah,
it exists.
It does. It does I mean, it'd be crazy if it didn't, because, self-doubt, people really don't understand if they're doing it the right way, right? Or they can be better at something. So I mean, it's definitely there, but it's just, to me, I don't like to complain. Just do it.
Just get up and get it done.
Just get up and do something different so that you get the result that you really want.
So the power of choice.
Yeah, it's a power of choice. And if, your confidence is low, you just don't have the self-esteem, then what do you have to do to get there?
Correct.
Right.
And there's two ways to get there. I know, like, I've talked about vibration before, but there's two ways to get there. You can do an active exercise, right, to get your heart rate up, right, in the morning.
Yeah.
So I always tell people, like, get up in the morning. Get after it gets some. That's my thing, right? And so, and it works. So if you get up, you get that vibration high. You make sure your frequency's high. The people around you are good. Your field's
so
good.
True, yes.
Then you start vibrating high. Mm-hmm. Then you don't feel as unconfident anymore. You're like, okay, I feel good. I can do this. I can knock it out.
Right.
So I think that's a part of it, and that helps. What about financial independence? I know there's a lot of women out here saying, "Girl, I make that minimum wage. There ain't no way I'm going to be able to start my own business or whatever."
I've never liked to be that business owner that just strives on money. The financial side of it. Mm-hmm. I think that people tend to chase money instead of allowing the money to chase them.
That's great.
And
That's awesome.
And one thing that when I learned that concept,
mm-hmm.
it just changed everything. Business just picked up for me, and I love doing what I love to do. So I don't look at it as a job. If every woman out there and men can find something that they're so passionate about, the money just comes with it.
It does, and you do it for the right reasons.
And you do it purposely, genuinely, because you care. Like in my business, I deal with a lot of people. So, and my goal is to get them to their dream home or get them in their real estate investments. But I do it because I really, really, really love it. And the checks just come with it. So when you stop chasing money, because the more you chase it, it's the whole energy, right?
Yeah, to chase is to repel, right?
Yes, when you give somebody so much energy, they become, they don't want to be near you. They turn the other way, right?
Correct.
Same thing with money. But once you take that energy away, the energy of yourself, and you give it away, I mean, you kind of, drift away from it, then they want it. So
Correct.
It's kind of the same thing with the money. But, I always say, just as long as you understand that, and, I'm not saying I'm the richest woman. I think that the way that people tell me, oh, Trini, I'm not the rich woman. I'm not a rich woman. I live comfortably. And I make money. My financial freedom comes from what I love to do. And that's it.
I always tell people I'm not a rich man, but I'm a rich man. And they go, wait a minute, what?
Well, people tell me, Trini, find this wealth. Live this rich. I don't need that.
No.
My definition of rich and wealth is being a better me every day. That's my richness.
New version, right?
A new version of me every day. That's my wealth.
Do you believe that a lot of, I mean, not even just women, just people in general believe that there's different versions to this life? Like there's different levels? Like I didn't understand that until I started doing the whole self-development thing.
Levels as far as phases?
As far as reality.
Reality.
Yeah. So like you wake up every day. It's like I used to wake up in this constant negative growth. I was like, oh, another day. Oh, what am I doing today? Oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Let me figure it out. And it was like this constant, I was in circles.
Right.
And I was living in trauma. I remember like repeating the trauma, from the negative frequencies that were coming my way. And I would say, oh, I had this person in my life negative. And honestly, a lot of my negativity that held me back was from my family, from the closest people to me. Yeah. You would think that would be completely opposite. They'd be the most supportive, but it wasn't. And I love them to death. God, I love them so much. And I still am there, but I have boundaries now.
Right. You have to set boundaries.
Right. Sometimes the people that are closest to you are the people that are inhibiting your growth. Would you agree with that?
Well, the thing is, tell me who you hang out with and I'll tell you who you are.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Show me your 5 friends and I'll show you your future.
And
right.
It's like, I've had to cut so many ties with so many people because it wasn't aligning with where I wanted to go.
Love that.
And it's nothing personal, nothing that they did wrong. It's just my goals were different than theirs. And really the people that come into your life, they're not always meant to be in your life forever.
I agree.
You have to take something from that period that you had with this individual, with these people, and just take the best thing that you could have taken from that, right? Chapter.
Let's talk about people in relationships. What if there's a woman out there and she's with, this is an empowering thing for women, so we want to focus on the women today.
We're not talking about relationships though, right?
No, kind of. What I'm curious about is like, what do you do if there's a woman that has a partner that doesn't have the same drive as her, and she's in this stuck? She's like, well, I want more for my life, but my partner, my husband, just wants to come home and sit on the couch and eat Doritos.
I think that balance.
Okay.
Again, it has to do with balancing.
Right.
The guy that I'm particularly looking for or have in mind, it's not somebody that, obviously, it's the mindset. That's one thing I posted yesterday. I want to know how you think. I want to know what kind of man you are. What's your intention? What's your purpose? Who are you? Rather than what you can provide to me, right? And of course, with being with somebody, you want something that's healthy. And they have to have healthy habits. That's all that matters to me. I can't speak for other women and what they look for and how they feel about that. But for me, I don't have to have a man that is a realtor. I don't have to have a husband who makes the same amount of money as I do. It's just the respect and the love and the him being very humble and just being down to earth. someone that's real
Mm-hmm.
and has a great heart, a good heart,
Mm-hmm.
and values the same things that I do, has the same core values, being family oriented.
Correct.
So family is very important to me. So just a lot of
What's your background with that? You're Hispanic, right?
Mexican.
Mexican.
I was born in Mexico.
Oh, okay, good.
I was
Okay.
born in Mexico. I came to the U.S. when I was 1.
Right.
And my mother married my stepfather. And she had 2. She actually came to the U.S. with 5 children.
Wow.
So it was me and my siblings. And then she married my stepfather, which I consider my father. And she had 2 children with him. And they gave us, a life. They were there. They provided for us for 7 children.
Wow.
So I don't know how they did it.
Yeah.
I do it with 4, and I'm like, wow, 3 more. I don't know,
Yeah.
but I really I love them for everything they've done. I think when you're a child, you really don't think about all the hard work and all the struggles maybe they've gone through. But yeah, so I'm Mexican and from Mexico, Michoacan.
No, I love it.
So
Yeah, I think people that come from different countries also have a different presence here. Also, like it's like almost like they work harder. They're more valued. They know what it's like to come from something a little bit different, and the opportunities that we have here are so much greater, I think, in a sense.
well, the opportunities grew on me because
Yeah.
I was only 1 when I came to the U.S., so I really didn't know better. I couldn't compare the lifestyle in Mexico and here.
Right. I can see
But
that.
I think I grew into it, and having gone to a private school, and it's just the great education.
Did you grow up out here, Ventura County?
Camarillo.
Camarillo? Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah.
I'm proud of saying that I am from Camarillo, but I love Camarillo. It's an amazing
Yeah, I love it here.
community.
It's beautiful, right?
Yeah.
Except for the fires sometimes.
Right.
Here,
That's
it's
fires
always something.
everywhere.
I know, fires everywhere now. I don't know. So let's see. So we talked about financial freedom and stuff like that, but I feel like that's like a big topic for women. Like if someone wanted to start tomorrow with finances and they're like, okay, Trini, I want to pursue maybe just going to real estate route. Like, what would they do? Like, how
But
would they?
my question to you is, what's your financial goal? You have to know what your goal is.
Right.
Your finances, right? I mean, you're talking about what more specifically?
I think more specifically, most people are probably thinking, I just want to be wealthy. I want to have money. I don't want to have to worry about my bills.
Well, first of all, it's what is wealth to you, right?
I like that.
What
That's
are
a
your
banger right there.
goals? What are your long-term goals?
Right.
Your action has to align with those.
Mhm.
So it's wealth just comes with doing the right thing
Mm-hmm.
and doing what you love.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to figure out, what do you love? What are you passionate about? That's where it starts. It doesn't have to be real estate. It doesn't have to be in the same field as me to be at the financial level that
Right. There's other things you can do.
There's other things that you can do.
Right.
There's so many other avenues that you could take to be financially set. And again, it just doing what you love, and the money will come with it.
Got it. I believe that so truly. Like anything that you love to do, just do it. Do it like you love it, and the money will come. It'll find its way to make it to you.
Just do it. Just make the change. If you're not happy, our lives, we're not meant to be stagnant. We don't just stay. We don't just settle for less, or we just settle. We're too comfortable. You got to go out there and grow.
Totally.
Because when you grow, so many opportunities come your way.
I think that if people just do what they love, it'll just come naturally. Like they'll love what they're doing, and then they'll do it. If you can do it for free, right? That's the job you want. If you do it for
Right.
free, right? That's what someone told me a long time ago. I was like, that is totally right.
Well, I do a lot of things for free, but
Yeah,
because
I
I
know.
love
You-
to do
yeah,
it.
you're a total
so,
giver.
Yeah.
Let's see. Overcoming fear and taking risks. That's a big one. We kind of touched on that
I
a
think
little
we
bit
touched
before.
on that before.
Yeah, I know. Decisions, scary decisions. Building a strong network and community. You did that really well. That's huge. Surrounding yourself with the right people. We talked about, your
Right.
5 friends is,
Right.
going to be your future, basically. Connecting with mentors. What do you feel about mentors? I'm curious about this. Like, do you have a mentor?
No.
No. What do you think about all these people that say you have to have a proven mentor?
If that works for them, then that's great. It's not something that has worked for me. I'm a self-built entrepreneur.
I can see that.
Everything that I've learned, all the knowledge that I hold, I've learned that on my own. So with the coaching and you know what? I haven't been really open to the whole coaching and the mentoring. I mean, of course, when you become a realtor, you have to go through some sort of mentorship in the beginning, it was my first 3 transactions, but I still was learning everything on my own.
Mm-hmm.
And, I always say there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat, right? In real
Mm-hmm.
estate, it's
Mm-hmm.
the same thing. You just have to find that niche, the thing that works for you. And because a mentor won't give you that, they won't give you that. It's who you are as a person and what your niche is. That's what's going to work for you. So, I mean, mentors, like I said, may work for other people. I used to be very stuck on the idea that I didn't need a mentor at all. I think what you're referring is professional mentor
Correct.
or a personal, but professionally, I've never really used a mentor.
Yeah, me neither. I've never done that. And a lot of people preach it. A lot of guys, ladies, they say, "Oh, you got to find a proven mentor, someone that can, keep you on track and show you the platform and
Hold you
whatnot."
accountable, right?
Right. But I've noticed that I've given people the blueprint, and then they come back to me like, "Yeah, this isn't working." I'm like, "Listen, it's not a blueprint problem. It's a you problem. It's
Yeah.
a you problem." Because last time I checked, you still look the same. So I've been helping people with their fitness health a
Right.
lot, just
Okay.
kind of like as for fun, because I do it all the time, and I figured out that's what I really love to do is help people with mindset and fitness. So I'm kind of like I've been focusing a lot on that on top of my other businesses and whatnot.
Okay.
But I noticed that like people they have an action problem, and they'll tell me after 2 weeks, like, "Oh yeah, I've been doing it." I'm like, "You weigh the same and you look the same." I
Mm-hmm.
don't see. Well, no, I'm doing the diet. I was like, "No, you're not. You're lying to me. I know that if you would have done this, you would have already lost like a few pounds, or this would have happened."
Right.
And a lot of people just can't. They can't ditch the comfort zone. They got to eat their McDonald's, or they got to, go out and eat whatever it is they're eating all day. And they have to drink beer at night or whatever they're doing. That's just not a part of their goals.
Right.
And I
Right.
always ask people, I'm like, "What are your goals?" Like you were saying, and then they always tell me,
Mm-hmm.
and they want these things, but then they're not willing to do what it takes to get it.
Make the proper changes, and adapt to it. Adaptability is sometimes very difficult for people.
Yeah,
It becomes too challenging, and it discourages that person from reaching their goals.
correct,
And so again, I think to sum everything up, and this whole podcast, it would be mindset,
correct,
which is the most powerful tool in someone's life.
correct.
You know,
100%. That's number one.
you live what you think.
Right. What do you
Mhm.
think about like teaching your kids and stuff? Like obviously I know that you focus on self, right? You got to focus on that first, but I know your kids are watching, right? Just in general every day. They're seeing mom come home, mom cooks, mom makes food, mom goes out and works all day long. Like obviously you do this in a sense like you see them and they see you, but like I guess what I'm trying to ask is how do you set the example for your children? Like are you doing everything you're doing so that also you can show your kids like, "Hey, this is possible"?
Well, I mean, my kids only see a little bit what I do,
Oh, wow.
right?
Okay.
I mean, they're at school all day and
Right.
I'm at work. They don't really see behind the scenes. Why is mom leaving again? Why is mom dropping us off again? Because I have houses to show. It's part of my job.
Mhm.
Weekends are consumed by work. And again, it all comes down to balancing, right?
Right.
But I think what I try to do sometimes is take my children on ride-alongs,
Oh,
just so
cool.
they can see what does mom actually do.
You ever brought them to like an open house or anything like
Yes,
that? You have?
open
Okay, cool.
house, door knocking with me, and I just want them to know, yes, I'm able to do all these things with them and provide for them, but really what's behind that? And when they see all the work that I put into it, they appreciate it more. It's okay for parents to come home and say, "Hi, honey. Oh, how was your day?" Great. Uh, but kids are never going to ask you, "So what'd you do today, mom?" Because they just don't.
They don't.
They just see what you provide for them, right? What you could
Right.
buy for them, where you could take them, what you can afford. But they really don't see behind the scenes of all the work that's actually put into it. So I do take them with me sometimes to
Yeah.
just get a little taste of what I go through on a daily basis. But I think that right now they're so young still, and I say the little ones because I have a 9 and a 12-year-old. They really don't understand yet. I wish I could take the older ones, the 20-year-old, my cancer survivor, and my daughter, with me to
Mhm.
see why I'm always gone. But what I want to teach my kids. It's not just about the work ethic. I think it's also about uh, building a better them every day, starting from young. Because everything that I know now, I wish somebody planted that seed in me as a small child, my life probably would have been, different.
Right. But the
Right.
deeper the struggle, the harder the success, right?
And more the growth.
And the more the growth. Let's not forget
I
that.
love that.
I love that. We touched on a lot of subjects today. I know that, a lot of this stuff kind of stems with everything in life that you just need to do, right? You just got to get out there and do it. You got to learn to be uncomfortable, right? You got to look at what you have and work with what you have at the time.
Right.
Also give yourself like a little bit of confidence. Like, hey, you made it this far. You should be proud of yourself,
I think we don't give ourselves
Yeah.
the credit that we
Yeah.
deserve.
Yeah.
We are so quick to give other people credit, but we never give ourselves credit. And I've learned nowadays to treat myself the way I would treat somebody else.
Yeah.
And it's really a game changer.
Yeah.
So when you remind yourself every day and pat yourself on the back, you remind yourself every day that you're doing such an amazing job.
Mm-hmm.
Keep going. It really changes the whole tone of the day. Like I said,
Give yourself enough credit.
right. And
to
I don't
say,
do
hey.
I don't do affirmations because affirmations are used by everybody.
Right.
Same affirmations. I do more personal affirmations that I
Okay.
actually generate myself because
like
those
that.
apply to me as an individual in my life. Right?
Do you like journal or anything like that?
I don't.
Okay. I know some people say like I journal and it's like, okay. I don't really journal. I keep track of what I say. I listen to a lot of podcasts too. And that's kind of like where I got a lot of my information from. And I read a lot of books.
Oh,
I'm reading like philosophical books like Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius and stuff like that. And
I need to do that more. I need to read more.
Yeah, me too. I struggle with it. I'm not gonna lie. I have like a time where I go from like 10:30 at night to 11, and I read my 10 pages or whatever, and then I get tired.
Right.
It starts wearing me out a little bit. Yeah, doing the stuff that you don't want to do and doing it like you love it, right? Discipline. So it sounds like you got a lot of discipline. That's what you got. Because I know women are more emotional than men, and so I think with emotions we get caught in our head, like a little bit, and even guys do. Guys start feeling a little insecure. Oh, I can't do this. And then you start dragging yourself down. But if you want more confidence like you got, it's just get out there, be consistent, do it even though you don't want to do it, but do it like you love it, right?
Right. And do the unreasonable.
Correct. Seek adversity daily, right?
Yes.
So, and I tell people all the time, like, make yourself as adverse as possible. Like, get down and do some burpees. I do the uncomfortable stuff all the time.
You got to
Cold showers, getting up after 4 hours of sleep because I got work to do. Even though I don't want to, I could sleep in. I could figure it out. I could let the guys do it. But no, I got to be there. I got to be there in person. I got this person I'm supposed to meet or talk to. I got to be there a little bit early for them, whatnot. So, yeah, just making yourself uncomfortable.
Yep.
God, this was a good one.
Yeah,
this was a really good one. So I want everyone to know, like, how to find you. Like, if they want to, like look you up or they have questions or whatever, or, they have something to say or whatever. What do you have an Instagram?
I do have an Instagram.
Okay.
And cut that.
Yeah.
Let me do that again. I do have an Instagram. You could find me at real _deal _realtor 805, or just type in my name, Trini Hernandez.
Yeah, you pop up on Google pretty quick.
Oh, do I?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I forgot what I was doing, but I was like, I was telling him, and I was like, yeah, book her, and he's like, how do you spell her name? And I was like, I was pretty sure I had it, but yeah,
That came
Googled
up
it.
pretty quickly.
It came up pretty quick, yeah, yeah.
Well, that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, yeah. And you got it all locked on. It's like your name, and it pops up everything. Everything's all good. I got to work on that part.
Well, you got to use on those keywords. So if I want people to, I got to put myself in the consumer's mindset and be like, all right, if I'm looking for a realtor, what keywords am I going to use?
Right.
Top agent.
Right. Top agent,
realtor.
Top realtor.
So I tend to use all of that.
Yeah. And it actually shows it all too. It's awesome. Yeah.
I learned that.
So guys, we touched on a lot of subjects. There was a lot of topics covered today. Hopefully this helped you guys out today. And I hope that any of you ladies out there that are thinking that, maybe you're struggling a little bit or you can't do it or you've had too much struggle in the past, like this lady's had it all and she's still persistently pursuing her goals and she's doing it because she does it by action. Okay. So yeah. Other than that, you got anything else or?
Yeah, I'll say one more thing. So women out there and men.
And men. Yeah.
I don't like to just refer to women, but
Right.
all I can say is believe in yourself. Believe in yourself.
Bet on yourself.
Huh?
Bet on yourself, right?
Yeah. I mean, whatever it takes to get out of that comfort and try something different, it will make a huge difference. Huge difference. and just a better mindset, healthier choices, and but I think most importantly is believing in yourself. So
I love that. That's beautiful.
and never giving up.
And never giving up, ever. Guys, this has been a good one. Until next time, get up, get after it, and get some.
Bitch, don't get too comfortable. Better not get too comfortable. Better not get too comfortable. Yeah, bitch, don't get too comfortable.